Well, hello. Welcome to AXIOMCURB Flux News. Today's date's the 9th of January 2015, and yes, we do apologise for being away for, I think, approximately 5-6 days now. We've just undergone some system upgrades, so hopefully this episode of Flux News should be the smoothest one yet. I want to bring you across to a subject or project, or a subject that will soon become a project. Regarding this thing here, as you can see, there's plenty of it, but not in the grabs of the ones that need it most. So let's just see what we can do with this, and to do that, I've come up with an idea. I'd like to talk about, just being able to of alternatives or solutions, suggestions, any ideas, just anything. It might not have to be foolproof. It might not have to work, but what this is it's an invitation to a live radio broadcast that we will be doing soon to discuss this very concerned subject here. Now, without putting across my own personal opinions just yet, I want to save it for the actual radio show that we do. I just want to give you a little idea of what I'm talking about.
In the first year of the 21st century, a man standing by a highway in the middle of America pulled from his pocket his life savings, $30, laid it inside a phone booth, and walked away. You know, I've known Daniel for 20 years before he gave up money. And then when he did give it up about 10 years ago, I heard about it and I just figured he was crazy. He said the money was an illusion, and I didn't really believe that. In 2008, though, after the economy collapsed and money just disappeared that we thought we had, I started giving him a second look, and I wondered, well, maybe he had a point, because if your house was worth $500,000 one day and then only $300,000 the next day, what happened to that $200,000? What was that money in the first place? Public debt soared to 8, 10, finally $13 trillion. He did not pay taxes or accept food stamps, welfare, or any other form of government handout. Instead, he set up house in caves in the Utah Canyonlands, where he forages mulberries and wild onions, scavenges roadkill raccoons and squirrels, pulls expired groceries from dumpsters, and is often fed by friends and strangers. He writes, "My philosophy is to use only what is freely given or discarded and what is already present and already running." And that's what drew me to Daniel, was here was someone who's saying, maybe I don't know what the solution is, but I'm going to disobey. So basically all three of these movements, left, right, and center, have come to the conclusion that our financial system is a big problem. It's so big that we can't control it, and in so many ways we feel enslaved by it. Worse, we feel powerless to change it. And then Daniel comes along and says, hey, you don't have to be part of the system. I've proven it. I've proven that you can survive and live abundantly for 12 years without using any money. And that just blows people away and it inspires them, and it inspired me, which is the reason I wrote this book. The fact is, if everyone lived like the average American, the world would actually collapse much more quickly than if everyone lived like Suelo. But when Suelo comes along, why do we all say, hey, if everyone lived like you, this wouldn't work?
We can cultivate freely giving and freely receiving no matter what station of life we're in. That's our true nature. It exists in everybody.
This is a book about a guy that chose to live like a myth. He chose to live like the heroes of the Bible. And that interests me. And of course, the desert is the perfect place for that, because that's where religions are born. I think for Daniel, the story has already sort of ended. I mean, he found a way to live that was meaningful, that he felt like he could live according to his heart and his beliefs, and he could find happiness. But he's not just sitting there on a hill becoming enlightened. He's really engaged with the world, and he wants to get his message across. He says he doesn't imagine everyone going to live in a cave, but he does imagine that money will become obsolete.
Okay, that was a video from Daniel James Shellerbarger, who goes by the name Swalo. He placed his life savings in a phone booth, began living his life without money. Swalo was born in Denver, Colorado, and after quitting the use of money, he moved to Moab, Utah, to live in a cave. In 2009, good friend Mark Sundin wrote The Man Who Quit Money. After being inspired by Swalo's life without money, Swalo is not accepting proceeds from the book. Swalo calls home wherever I am now, United States, and blogs occasionally on his site Zero Currency. Today, Swalo travels the US when not in Utah. He doesn't have an ID, bank account, or a home. He doesn't take money, and he doesn't live off the federal welfare. Just one guy there who, can really show you how it's done. He's the, and they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Well, this guy is good for that. Another one I wanted to bring you onto, which was this one. This is from a website called Advanced Life Skills. Let's have a little fun and put the stretch of our imaginations. Try to visualize a world without money or even the concept of money. Imagine if there were no money, no word for it, no physical or emotional reference to it. The whole idea of money simply doesn't exist. Why are we thinking like this? Because so many people spend the majority of their life in the pursuit of this bizarre man-made invention. For the most part, money is a necessary yet insidious detour away from everything that really matters. Like a bottomless pothole on the road of life, there's money smack dab in the middle of almost everything meaningful you want to do. You can't ignore it, and it's almost impossible to get anything done without it, so you are forced to deal with it. Money calls the shots. In the name of money and career, we may invest years of our life on specialized education and training. Why? So we can spend another 30 to 40 years earning a living. What's at the end of the rainbow? The hope of being able to retire with enough money to enjoy whatever time and health we have left. It becomes especially challenging to maintain a balanced view of money when we are confronted by economic hardship. Lack of legal tender can threaten our sense of security and even corrupt our sense of self-worth. No inanimate objects is more emotionally charged. That's a tremendous amount of leverage for an artificial commodity, don't you think? Can we really imagine no more money? Probably the most difficult problems of them all is difficult to wrap our minds around this concept of no more money because it is outside the realm of our experience. How would society be structured if there were no such things as money? What would we focus on, and how would we make value comparisons? We don't really know because it's never been tried on a large scale. One thing is for sure, most people's lives would probably be a lot more realistic. Maybe we should just abolish the stuff and start focusing on things of real value. And on to another one. This one's Michael Tellinger. He's with his Ubuntu contributionism.
I want to talk to you about electricity and free electricity and energy. Energy and electricity is one of the most fiercely controlled areas of our lives, because once people have access to free electricity and free energy and alternative sources of energy, they're very difficult and hard to control, and they start taking control of their own communities. And this is not good for central government that tries to control their people. So electricity and energy is being used as a tool of control over people for a long time, for more than 100 years now. I'd like to talk to you about the free energy and free electricity, because when we say free electricity and free energy, many people go, what are you talking about? Are you nuts? Are you crazy? What do you mean? It doesn't exist. Well, you'd be wrong. Free electricity and free energy has been discovered many times in the past, and it's been given to the people of the world. But every time this happens, the scientists or inventors that do this are either threatened, bribed, or sometimes even killed. And their inventions are very quickly removed from the global platform so that people don't have access to it. Because the supply of electricity and the petroleum industry is the most fiercely guarded sector of. We know this because we've studied this. We have some scientists that are Nobel laureates that have won awards around the world that are working with the Ubuntu movement and the Ubuntu party, waiting to share their free energy devices with us as soon as they feel safe and as soon as they feel that they're welcome to bring this energy to the fore, to the people. Even if you still choose to think in conventional ways, we can use all our flowing water, our rivers, our waterways as a source of energy, as a source of electricity. Nothing preventing us from every little town, every village that has a river that goes through it, from utilizing that river for generating the electricity for that particular community. Renewable, natural, free energy. This is not rocket science. This is very simple stuff. Once we have free electricity for our communities, everything is possible. We pretty much release the people from bondage of paying exorbitant electricity fees that have been imposed on us by our own company called Axiom that actually belongs to the people and that has been stolen from the people by our government and given to some private investors around the world that are now extorting money from us, the people. So, free energy is one of the key areas that the Ubuntu Party will be active in, and deliver free electricity to start off with for every town and every community in South Africa, starting with the small towns and villages and moving to the large cities and urban areas. Once we have free electricity, everything is possible. All areas of industry can be activated, jobs can be created, and everyone can start doing what they feel they are good at and can contribute with towards a greater benefit of everyone in their community. This is how important and crucial electricity is as a platform for new Ubuntu communities where people live united in harmony, working for the greatest benefit for each other rather than separated, working for the benefit for themselves at the expense of everybody else. This is the foundation upon which we're going to build Ubuntu communities around South Africa. Energy, electricity.
So we're going to go to this website. This is some people who are watching and listening to this may be familiar with it. The Venus Project. It's beyond politics, poverty and war. These guys have got many ideas involved in this. The Venus Project proposes an alternative vision of what the future can be if we apply what we already know in order to achieve a sustainable new world civilization. It calls for a straightforward redesign of our culture in which the age-old inadequacies of war, poverty, hunger, debt and unnecessary human suffering are viewed not only as avoidable but as totally unacceptable. Anything less will result in a continuation of the same catalogue of problems inherent in today's world. Today many people believe what is needed is a higher sense of ethical standards and the enactment of international laws to assure a sustainable global society. So that's Venus Project. Okay, so that's the Venus Project and the Ubuntu from Michael Tallinger and the other one from Zero Currency. So if you think you can be, of some use and interest in this project that we're trying to get going over on AXIOMCURB, then all you've got to do is visit the website or send us an email. The email address is axiomcurb@live.com. If you think you've got something that you'd like to share with us when we do this live broadcast, then we'd love to hear from you. So, Andy, I don't know if you've got anything to make of that. Any questions?
Well, money. They say it's the root of all evil. A lot of people are frightened to say that it is the problem. They tend to want to shy away from it, say, well, there's nothing wrong with money. No, it's the idea of money is a good idea and whatever. But money equals hierarchy or a hierarchical system, doesn't it? So I've always felt that if you had money, you are going to have somebody to distribute it, and of course the makers of it, and we can see what the makers of it are doing to the world today. especially when it costs them absolutely nothing to make it. And it's the biggest con trick of all time, fiat currency.
Well, they're not the ones that are making it, are they, Andy? It's it's the people themselves.
Yeah, so I was going to come to that. Of course, with if people actually realised that, would it make a difference, PJ? But anyway, all I can say to people is to really
just walk away, just walk away, just walk away, just walk away, just walk away.
and that's my just walk away.
We're expecting the other one there, Andy, with the guy in Parliament talking about it, but
Well, anyway, but yes, contributionism, as Michael Tellinger, I think is actually an ongoing thing. It's actually in progress. That's great work he's doing. And Zero Hedge audio. I didn't get the video, by the way. We got the audio, but that was okay. I pretty much have just walked away myself from most things, cars, benefits, no privileges, none of that old nonsense. I try to stay out of anything the government wishes to try and push on you, including their taxes. I don't entertain JOBs. So we're almost there. It's kind of difficult to get completely off grid, but we're working on the rest of it. More steps, I think, PJ.
exactly, Andy there. I mean, if you're not happy with being born into this world to pay bills, then so be it, But me, myself personally, I don't think that's the way things should be. But yeah, that's interesting. Andy, thanks for your comments and thoughts on that.
Well, just one little thing about the money side of things, and people going to work for money. There are a few surveys that have been done, and you can just Google it, where people who are doing mechanical, mundane jobs, they found that by paying them money does actually increase slightly the turnover for the companies. But when it comes to anything cognitive, it actually shows that people, if they're in those types of work, right, actually their performance goes down, and it actually, like, instead of rewarding them and putting the output up for cognitive thinking type jobs, it actually does the opposite. So money is not the answer to an evolution of consciousness or a better world for everybody. So people ought to check those out, PJ. I don't know if you've looked for them, but there's quite a few things on Google with these servers, and that's what the scientists have found. So there we go.
Well, that's what the project that we're trying to get put forward is all about, Andy, really. It's trying to get people involved and come and join us, come and have a talk with us. There's going to be some brain boxes with us during that broadcast, so you're more than welcome to drop an email and we'll arrange you to be there with us.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Yeah, well, we'll look forward to it, and it should be a very interesting project, and hopefully everybody from everywhere will get involved, because that's what's needed.
Yeah, definitely. So, have you got some weather for us then, Andy, I believe?
Well, basically, it's well, actual fact, money won't actually save, won't affect the weather. I don't think so. Anyway, basically, it's just a little bit of news from the normal sort of media about what's going on. I don't know if you've noticed.
All right, then I'll let you put your screen up.
Oh, hang on, yeah. Alright. I'll just get me bits and pieces sorted here. Where's my screen save gone? Where's it gone? Where's my screen save then, PJ? Oh, hang on. There it is.
Is it hiding away from you?
Yeah, as usual. Alright, okay. Right, where we got? There. Okay. Okay, hopefully that'll come up. Yeah?
Yeah, that's up.
It's just, I don't know, especially whether you've noticed the last 2 or 3 days in the UK, if you live in the UK, that especially Scotland that way, and probably even north of the country, up near UPJ that way. There's been quite a bit of wind, a little bit of snow last week, and now the winds are really revving up. And anyway, that article says that yesterday, it's saying about today that the first widespread snowfall of the year is expected as the second of the 2 Atlantic storms sweep the country. Thousands of homes were left without power yesterday as winds of up to 113 miles per hour battered the north of Britain. Worst affected areas were Highlands and the islands of Scotland. At the height of the problems, more than 100,000 properties were cut off from electricity. Transport also affected, with trains and ferries cancelled and roads closed due to accidents and fallen trees. A gust of 113 miles per hour was recorded at Stornoway Lewis, the strongest gust since records at that site began in 1970. While winds of 76 miles per hour were recorded at Bradfield in Yorkshire and Aberdaron, Gwynedd. It's saying that gales are expected to return over this weekend. It's quite windy outside down here, and I'm down in the south side. With that in mind, what's happening in if we take near where our good friend Book hangs out, or that area, or Canada, you can see these temperatures, yeah, -9, -11, -12, -13. There's constant minus for the next week, and this is a bit of the problem. What's going on with the weather at the moment? The reason why we're getting such high winds, and we will get, it will continue for the next week or so, the foreseeable future, because what it does is it causes a setup in this thing here, and this is called a jet stream. If you're not familiar with it, it's what carries our weather across the Atlantic. We're here, if you can see the outline of our island, and there's Ireland, and there's us. I mean, if I advance this, you'll see this, these jet stream winds that come across the Atlantic. It's pulled across from the top of North America at the moment, and carries the cold air across here. But we have our in amongst here, we have, which is part of the jet stream, which is the sea part, is you have the Gulf Stream. So basically, with intense cold over Canada and North America, and warm air, and where the bottom, where the jet comes from, where the Gulf Stream comes from, it spices up the jet stream. And these winds here average between 200 and 300 mile an hour, but not on the ground level. But you're talking a few thousand feet up in the air, a mile or so. But anyway, they're the trade winds or the jet stream. So what it does is if you have low pressures developing this jet, it beefs them right up, and they come crashing into the UK, across the Atlantic and other parts of Europe, then fizzle up top, up at the top of Northern Europe, etc., Scandinavia. But anyway, sort of moving along. If I show you how this operates, these are the dates here. Saturday the 10th, which is today. You can see it rushing across, and the areas start to get a bit brighter and darker as we go along. So basically, what I want to just focus on, without going on too much, is the 14th and 15th. You see the polar north, polar vortex there, which is over Greenland, that area, not so much over here, but anyway. We've moved this along to the 14th, 15th, a little bit further, unless they've changed it. There we go. You see an awful sting, almost like they call a sting jet. I reckon this will come down to, the jet will lower closer to the ground, which means that the winds with these low pressures that are forming will be quite intense. That's my guesswork. And as you can see, there's a nasty low that's appeared here with this really strong jet stream, and instead of going across the top here where it's been the last couple of days and low pressures and having wind really bad in Scotland, it's going to be more central UK. That's my prediction. If it does, and this jet stays as strong as this with a low pressure forming like this, you're looking for a big trouble. Okay, so maybe my prediction is for quite a substantial storm. I think the storm of the winter, next Thursday, Friday, that sort of time period. Basically, you can see the pressure setting, which gives this low, which I'm talking about here, over the UK. So it's a bit of a heads up for next week. It's a long way off, I know. You might find one or two people on weather sites predicting something similar, but I haven't seen anything predicted like this for quite a long time, and I may have it all wrong. It may just be a damp squib, but the models look. I'm not right up on this. I just go by the basic things. But if that's the case, you're looking at hurricane force winds and some really nasty weather. So fingers crossed it's not as bad as what I think it's going to be, but you never can tell. So that's a bit of a heads up. And of course, your article about money, it pretty much puts it into significance, doesn't it? Because all the money in the world ain't going to stop this from happening. You know, you get all the money in the world, or print as much money as you want.
Well, I don't know, Andy. Maybe if Michael Fish gets paid a better wage, he might be able to predict us some decent weather for next week. What do you think?
Yeah, he's not quite the sort of guy to go to after his prediction of his warning that there wasn't a hurricane in '87. And those of us who are old enough to remember what happened knows that that was probably one of the biggest boo-boos in weather forecast in history by the Met Office. So
well, let's hope you haven't made the same mistake, Andy.
Well, it's just something that I follow, and basically, let me turn that off now. I'm interested in the weather. I do tie it in with solar events as well. I'm looking into that to expand my knowledge on that, my education on that side of things. But you know, as it is from above, it will be below, and I think with events will change in a not too distant future. But that's another story, like I've mentioned before. There has been other things happening in the news the last couple of days, as everybody probably is aware of. But I like to refrain from commenting on that at the moment because it's still an ongoing thing, and we can all come to our conclusions about that some other time. So that's about it. If you got any more questions about that, PJ?
No, I think that's covered it, Andy. Thanks very much for that report.
And nobody on chat that wants to leave anything? Hint, hint. I don't know where it is on here actually to find it, so I thought
no, me either, Andy. But yeah, that's all I've got, and yeah, interesting stuff. So we will be back tomorrow with another episode of Flux News. Thanks for joining us.